Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
It's the 24th day of our calendar.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Ho, ho, ho.
Proper Swedish Christmas today.
It is proper Swedish Christmas.
Not tomorrow.
Nope. When the real Christmas is.
Nope.
I love having these arguments with Swedes over what day do you celebrate Christmas. It's like, no, it's the 24th. It's like, just because you celebrate every holiday the day before the actual holiday doesn't make it right. It would be like 4th of July. We celebrate on the 3rd.
You should.
It's true.
4th of July is the day you're off, right?
Yeah.
Then the day before is when you drink all the alcohol.
Exactly. I would say I understand why you do it. It's so that you can nurse your hangover on the day you're actually off, and not the day when you get back to work. But then what you realize is, then you actually have to be productive at work, when you could just be hungover and not have to do as much.
Ah, smart.
Saying, who's the real smart one here? Yeah.
So we have. This is the last episode. We have one beer left.
It is.
And I brought it.
You did. And this better be amazing. Oh, it is a really good option. It is the Narke Kaggen Stormaksporter 2019.
Yeah. So Kaggen on Rate Beer is still marked as the second best beer ever to have been made, all categories. Only beaten by Toppling Goliath Kentucky Brunch. And I haven't had one in a while.
They've been coming out with these at Systembolaget, haven't they?
Yes, and I've been buying some versions here and some versions there, but I never drink them. That's the problem. They're small bottles, very cute.
They're 25 centiliters.
Very, very cute. As soon as they started putting them out on Systembolaget, they started with this weird thing of having black labels, because the actual label is very, very small, and there used to be stickers that they just put on the bottles. But now, when they need like extra information and a barcode, because they were just sold at Bishop's Arms, to be honest, they made these all black labels so that it still kind of looks like it used to. But that's weird. So 12% ABV, and it's an imperial stout, and they're always made with, what's the word in heather honey?
Oh, okay.
Ljunghonung in Swedish. And it says that you should share the bottle with a few nice companions.
Oh.
And it can be aged for many years. Perfect drinking temperature is 14 degrees Celsius.
I feel like we're probably in that range of 14 degrees. Now, you've had this beer several times in the past, if I remember correctly.
It's okay. So this is the weird thing about Kaggen on Untapped, is that many of the vintages don't exist. I think they get merged or deleted or something.
Well, it's kind of weird since they actually put the vintage or the year on there.
I'm sorry. This one does exist. I think it's the rum version that keeps getting weirdly deleted. So I've had this once before, 2 years ago.
Okay, so closer to the actual release date.
Yes.
And what did you give it at that time?
I won't spoil it.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't smell that much.
No, there's a little bit of a honey aroma to it.
Yeah. But this is an imperial stout from the old days of imperial stout, so it's very unpastry.
Yeah, it's probably heavily roasted malts. I can smell a little bit of roasting on there. But you're right. Overall, the smells pretty weak. But
pretty mild.
Yeah.
Cheers.
But there's still good carbonation on it still, so it's very promising. Some nice lacing on the glass.
So the Kaggen version is the barrel-aged version.
Okay.
There is also Stormaktsporter without Kaggen.
And this, what kind of barrel aging is it? Do we know?
Bourbon barrels.
Okay.
But only for 3 months.
So it was kind of like lightly barreled.
Lightly barreled. But, I mean, the first Kaggen came out, 2003 or something. Mm-hmm. And back then, no one did these heavy 2-year bourbon barrel-aged stouts?
This is really nice. It is licoricey. You get the bourbon, the barrel aging on it, but it's light. It's not overwhelming. I thought that it would have a really heavy roasted malt flavor to it, but it doesn't. It's pretty light overall. It's very easy to drink. This is a really, really well-made, very nice beer.
I agree. It's pretty smooth and friendly. It is a looking glass into the past. This is the imperial stouts of old.
Yeah.
And they've mostly gone the way of the dodo. They're mostly extinct. Everything now is pastry stouts or...
How many adjuncts can you cram into a bottle, basically, or a can?
No one really does. I'm guessing this would count as a Russian imperial stout, style-wise.
Probably, yeah.
It doesn't say.
No, but it's really nice. Is Narke still around? Are they defunct or are they still?
They still exist. But Helge, the head brewer, died unfortunately. So Berit, she the now widow.
Yeah.
She keeps the flag strong.
Okay.
And whenever Bishop's Arms in Malmö they've had many Narke. I wouldn't call them tap takeovers, but it's like 3 or 4 taps.
They do a lot of releases.
And they usually get casks then of some, like Björn, everyone knows Björn by now, Björn Guiden and his vlog. He loves Narke Örebro Bitter, their regular bitter. He loves it so much that he'll usually give it a 5 when he finds it on tap somewhere.
Yeah. But they have that quite regularly at Bishop's Arms. Gustav's Torg. It seems like
it gets good rotation.
Yeah. It's they're quite often.
But whenever they deliver casks there, Berit is usually there herself and like capping the keg, and beer comes everywhere, and they push in this little tap thing. It's a real thing to see this. It's like a cork thing where you use a mallet and you hit it and beer comes out, and it's madness. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So they're still around, but Helge unfortunately passed away.
He passed away, and I was under the impression that maybe Narke was going to the label was going to retire. Like they weren't going to do much, but it seems like they've been doing quite a bit actually.
I think they had I don't know the exact details, but whoever was like the assistant brewer had learned enough to shoulder the burden. A small story from a long time ago, like 2007, 2008, beer blogs were popping up, including mine. What we looked it up recently. It was like the 10th first beer blog in Sweden. But someone wrote a big piece on importers and specifically ghost brewers or phantom brewers, where it was kind of aimed at Mikkeller. Is Mikkeller a Danish brand when 99% of the beer is brewed, contract brewed in Belgium at the Proof Brewery? Isn't it Belgian beer? And Systembolaget chose it as a Danish beer, which is false advertisement. And a lot of heavy hitters wrote comments to that, including Mark, who ran Brill, the import. Brill still exists. And he was defending Mikkeller. And Helge himself writes that all phantom brewers are soulless profiteers. Like, wow, this is such a declaration of war.
Because I remember at the time there was quite a few phantom brewers, like almost. I wouldn't say maybe most, but top 10 Scandinavian brewers were phantom brewers at that time. Because it was Omnipolo, phantom. Tuol, phantom. Mikkeller, phantom.
Exactly. And then a lot of the other, everyone has stopped saying gypsy brewers, but that was the term back then, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones we now know didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So these pioneers were, but the core problem was true. The origin specification, is that where the administrative headquarters is, or is that where the beer is made? Mikkeller should have been a Belgian brewery at that point, everything was brewed in Belgium.
Omnipolo should have been a Belgian brewery at that point as well.
Yes. Yes, this is of course true. I mean, I can go to Azerbaijan and think up a recipe, and then it's the best Azerbaijan beer. It's not brewed there. It's not made there. No one lives there.
I think that where's the impetus for creation? If they're creating the base recipe and the base beer and proof of concept, and then they're taking that to proof to make it into production.
Yeah.
I don't see any difference between that and, say, Toyota developing their cars in Japan, but then they make them, say, in the US. It's still a Japanese car. They came up with the concept, the design, the basic model, and then they just build it somewhere else.
But they have a factory in Japan as well, right?
Yes.
That makes it more... So now,
more legitimate is what you're saying.
Now you make the thing in your home country, and you also make it somewhere else. Now we're in tricky territory. So
I guess maybe it wasn't the best example.
So
but I'm just saying, like,
if Buzz Aldrin on the moon thought of a recipe and then sent it to the proof in Belgium, is that a moon beer? Is that a beer made on the moon?
Well, can you argue that IKEA is not a Swedish company?
There is absolutely that argument, but IKEA has a lot of it's a real tricky one,
right? Because IKEA is incorporated in Liechtenstein, right? For tax purposes, that's where they're Luxembourg or Liechtenstein or one of these tax haven countries is where IKEA is taxed out of.
Yeah, but you're switching the argument, because IKEA doesn't claim to manufacture a lot of the things that are sold. They're a store more than a producer.
I would argue they are a producer as well, since everything that they sell is IKEA and not... Well, I mean, they do rebrand Electrolux and Whirlpool and stuff like that. But
but also, I mean, all the shelves and everything, it's made by someone else. I
really haven't looked at IKEA's business model.
It's mostly rebranding. So
that's really good.
But Narke have always been true to their principles.
Getting back to the beer at large.
They have always defended the old way of doing it, the proper way of doing it, true to roots, and like beer is for sharing, and it shouldn't be expensive. So even when these were rare at Bishop's, they still weren't that expensive. They were pretty expensive, but only compared to how cheap everything else was. Yeah. The big inflation of Cantillon bottles costing 600 euros was kind of prevented by Narke keeping their Kaggen only at Bishop's, where it wasn't legally allowed to be sold. It still made it to trades all the time through bartenders whose ethical morals were challenged. Through
some under the desk handling, kind of.
Let's call it that. But now they're at Systembolaget.
They've been quite a few that have shown up recently. Over the last few months.
I think 2016 was the first vintage that was released at Systembolaget, because I think I have a bottle. Okay. Why would I have a bottle if it wasn't from Systembolaget?
It's impossible to say. No other way you would have gotten it ever.
But some versions of this even came out at Glasbanken web shop. So they've. I think that's just proper. This beer doesn't pull the same weight in trades anymore. Especially after Systembolaget syndication. Yeah. But now you don't need to keep it as a garden treasure.
No, but it's a really good beer. It's held up extremely well.
It's fun. Yeah, definitely.
I would say compared to the Avery that we had, that was from 2018.
Right.
At a much higher ABV.
Yeah.
This one is 1 year younger and not as high ABV, and is much more balanced, interesting. A lot of the character from it. If you didn't know it was from the time period, you wouldn't I would think it was almost new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so well made, and it's held up extremely well.
I'll give it a 4.25.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Ooh.
I think it's really good. It's a very solid beer. It's very, very drinkable. My only complaint is it's only 25 centiliters.
Yeah.
That's my real knock on the beer here.
But that just means you can drink more other beers.
It's very true.
It's very true.
All right, man. Well, this was a really good calendar. There were some real highlights. There weren't any real lows. The Westwood Lifted to 12 that was oxidized was probably the low point.
That was a gamble that didn't pay off.
Yeah, but still fun to try. I mean, you just never know with these things. But overall, I mean, another really fun, great, interesting calendar with lots of different things that we didn't expect.
Thank you for bringing fun beers.
Thank you for bringing fun beers.
I still remember was it Prairie Artisan? No, it wasn't. It was
American Solera. I know. I think that was the highlight of the calendar.
That one sticks with me.
Yeah, that one was really, really good. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you have a happy Yuletide with friends and family and whomever you choose to celebrate it with. You can find us online at What's on Tap Podcast, Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, and wherever you find podcasts, you'll find What's on Tap. So until next time,
keep drinking, you dum-dums. And Merry Christmas.